great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of invasion. Welcome back to the Immigration Answer Show. My name is Jim Hacking. This is episode number 768 of the Immigration Answer Show. Today is Saturday, February 22nd. Can you believe February is almost over? February is almost over. Just 1 week left for old February. How was your week? What's going on? Do you guys have good plans for the weekend? I'm going to chill. As soon as this is over, I'm going to have a 24-hour silent retreat here at home by myself. Imani and Noor just left for Columbia MO for a softball camp. And I'll be here with you guys for an hour, and then I'll be shutting it down. No phone, no internet, no music. I'm going to go for a long walk later, and I'm just going to read and relax. How about that? Really taking the day early or easy. I'll be here for the next hour trying to answer your immigration law-related questions. Good to see all of our friends. I see lots of familiar faces in the comments. I say big ups and peace, shalom, salam to all of you. I hope you have a great weekend and a great day. Let's go ahead and get started with Alyssa. Hello, Alyssa.
Hi, Jim. My husband watches you, and he asked me to come on here and tell you about my brother.
Okay.
I am interested to see your thoughts on him because I am concerned about him and the decisions he's making, and he's like betting his whole life on this.
Okay.
So my brother is 26. We're in Wisconsin. He decided that he wouldn't be able to find a girl here in America. So he downloaded a dating app specifically for Americans and Filipinos to meet.
Okay.
And he met a Filipino woman. And within 2 weeks of them talking, she told him that her dream was to come to America. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that was pretty obvious, and she was looking for an American guy, but she said that was her dream. And she says she's 31. In her pictures, she looks like she's at least 45. My opinion.
At least 60.
She looks like she's at least 45. She looks significantly older to me. But anyway, so they talked for like a few months, and then he decided he wanted to go meet her. But he said he's like, well, I'm not going to go to the Philippines. It's too dangerous for Americans. And he refuses to ever visit the Philippines, ever. So he's never met her family. He's met her sister, but I'll get into that. But he decided that they would go to Singapore to meet each other. And so he pretty much blew his whole life savings going to Singapore to meet her, flew her out there. He paid for her sister to go out there, paid for her sister's passport. Pretty much they wanted this like luxury resort. And she actually has an aunt that lives in Singapore. And she's like, oh, she's too far. I can't stay with my aunt. But then the first day they got there, the aunt met with them. So obviously she wasn't too far. And so he spent about $11,000 on this resort and everything.
Party trip.
Yes. And so it was just kind of was a free vacation for them. And he was only there for 4 or 5 days. And on the third day of being there, he proposed to her. And she, of course, said yes. And then he was texting me on WhatsApp about it. And he had said that he brought only the I-29F form with him, and that's all he was gonna submit. He wasn't gonna submit any supporting documents. He thought that's all he could submit, and that would be fine. And I told him, like, you can't submit just that. There's like 300 pages that you have to do. And he was like, are you serious? And so he didn't know he had to do any of that. He thought he could just submit that. And so then this girl that he's now engaged to is like, oh, well, I know a visa agent that we can go through. And it's a Filipino agent, which makes no sense since they're coming to America. And this Filipino agent, he decided to go with her, and he's paying this agent, and it's one of her friends, his quote unquote fiance's friends. And so he's paying her, I mean, at least $1,000, $2,000 American money to be the agent, but she's not an attorney. All she's doing is saying, this is the paperwork you need. Well, this agent told him that the girl would be here in America in 4 to 9 months. And I told him, I was like, that's crazy. She's not going to be here that fast. Like, you can get your initial approval maybe within a year, but for the interview, but to be here in 4 months after applying is nuts. And I told him, especially now that like Trump is in, that changes a lot of things. And he said that Trump being in won't affect him because she's coming from the Philippines. And I was like, well, what does that have to do with anything? Of course, it's the American embassy. And there's a lot of ignorance in my family, I guess, surrounding that. And they were like, when they talked about the embassy originally, he thought that she could just walk into the embassy and ask for a visa. And he said that she could just walk in and ask for a visa and say, well, my fiance has health issues, so he can't come here. So, and they would just hand her one. So there's a lot of ignorance surrounding that. Yeah, so the paperwork ended up getting sent to Texas, and the visa agent told him that was a good thing, which from what I've heard, Texas is longer. So I have a feeling this agent he's going with is scamming him just to get paid, because it doesn't make any sense to me that he's working with somebody in that country in the first place. Yeah, so he was talking to my family. My mom's whole side of the family is totally against it. They think it's nuts. My dad's side of the family is fully supportive, as well as my parents. And he told, my grandma asked him what happens if it doesn't happen in 4 to 9 months. And he said if it doesn't happen fast enough, he's just going to dump her because he doesn't want to wait. And so I'm like, well, that's concerning. But yeah, so now that they've been engaged for, I guess they got engaged in November. No, they've been engaged for a couple months. She's been posting on Facebook, like sharing posts constantly of these like gorgeous, gorgeous rich homes. And she'll caption them like halfway there, can't wait to have this. And my family's not rich by any means. And so he told her that that's not what she's going to get when she gets here, but I don't think she understands that. I think that she fully believes that America, as some people say, is the land of milk and honey, and she thinks she's going to be getting this rich home. And she has not posted one single post about looking forward to getting married. Not one. It's just been about rich houses and all of this. And then he's fully like planning to Americanize her pretty much. He isn't expecting her to have any kind of like cultural differences. And he said he has no interest in her language, no interest in ever going to her country, none of that. And so he's planning on just bringing her here, having her only speak English, just be in America. And that's about it. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess I want to know like your thoughts on all this, because to me, I don't imagine it happening. They don't seem like they really know anything about each other either. They only know what each other's told each other, if that makes sense. Like they haven't spent any time together in person. And he already said he's not planning on ever going back to see her between now and if the visa gets approved. So he's only seen her once and doesn't plan to see her again. So I guess I'm looking for your thoughts on this whole situation, because it's a little interesting to me.
Has she been married before?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, what is your brother's first name?
Tyler.
Tyler. Okay, I'm going to make a video just for Tyler. I'm going to pull you off the screen. Let me see. How do I do that? I think this is... Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Tyler, my name is Jim. I'm an immigration attorney. I've been handling immigration cases since 2007, and we've handled probably 5,000 or 6,000 overseas visa cases. Right now, in February of 2023, the I-129F that you filed will take 14 to 16 months to get approved at USCIS. That is stage 1. After that, you'll have to show that you have enough money to support her. You'll have to file more documents and upload more forms and fill out stuff for the Department of State. You're going to be at the National Visa Center for 3 or 4 months. And then your case is going to one of the 3 slowest embassies in the world. So when you picked up that app and selected Filipino women to match with, you picked one of the toughest embassies and the slowest embassies to deal with. So you're talking at least 14 to 20 months waiting for a visa appointment at the embassy. So whoever this visa specialist is in the Philippines that's telling you that she's going to be here in 3 or 4 months is blowing smoke up your ass. This is not going to happen. So even if you did everything right between now and then, and even if I was your lawyer, this case would take 2.5 years. There literally is. The only other embassy I think that's slower right now is in Kenya. So that's part 1. Part 2, when your case gets to the embassy, they're going to be very, very, very suspicious of this case. You spent all of a week or 2 together before you got engaged. They are not going to give this woman a visa based on the facts presented. If what your sister told me is true, that you don't plan on ever going back there again, and or I guess you haven't even been there to the Philippines, the idea that they're going to give her a fiance visa, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry to say. So I think that you've been sold a bill of goods. I'm not going to question anybody's intentions. I'm not going to question her intentions. I'm not going to question your intentions or this visa person. But it seems to me that the information that you have is incorrect. So obviously you have a lot invested in this. You spent a lot of money to bring her and her sister so that you could meet, and you spent a lot of money on this immigration process. But this idea that you're halfway there is not right. You're about 1/10 of the way there, and you filed a case that is not approvable. You have spent very, very little time together. They're going to be very suspicious. They're going to know her true age, whatever it is. You're 26. She's at least in her 30s. They're going to think she's desperate to come to the United States and will say anything to you and anything to them to get that visa. And they will be intent on not giving her that visa. And the problem is they'll just let the visa expire, or they'll deny the visa. And then you'll have a choice 3 years from now, which is, boy, now I have 3 years invested in this. Now I have more money. She's been asking me to send her money, and I've got a lot of emotion tied up in this. The fiance case got denied because we only spent 4 days together before we got engaged. So now our choice is to walk away after 3 years of delay, or to get married and start all over. And if you haven't spent significant time together over the next 3 years, you're going to have the same result if you meet somewhere and get married. So for all of those reasons, as an immigration lawyer and as a dad of a 22-year-old, if you were my son, I would say, Tyler, I'm really sorry that you've gone down this path. But based on the hundreds of cases that we've handled in our office and the experiences that we have had with the embassy in the Philippines, there's no way that this is ever going to work. And I'm sure that makes you sad, but I hope that you figure out something else to do, because this is not going to work.
Thank you. I appreciate your insight and your information on that. That's my biggest concern, is that it's not going to work, and that he's investing his whole entire life into this. I mean, for Christmas this year, all he asked for was stuff that she wanted for the apartment that he does. He lives with my parents too. I don't know if that's a problem or not, but he asked her a bunch of stuff for the apartment that they don't have, that she wants for their future place. And he's storing tons of stuff in my parents' basement that she wants. And
I don't know if someone's going to be able to get through to him, but it seems to me like like if that were my son, I'd be wanting him to go to therapy to ask sort of, why are you going so far down this path? But just on a practical level, it's not going to work.
Right. And that's what I've been telling him.
Emotion out of it. It's just legally, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's a really bad case, a really weak case.
And my husband and I have been doing a lot of research, and my husband, he originally came here on a student visa. And then he was here for like 6 years on a student visa, and him and I ended up getting married, and I sponsored him as a spouse. And my parents were skeptical of that, but they're not skeptical of this. And I told him, I was like, we were dating for 2 years. We were together for 2.5 years before we got married, actually, in person. And so with us, it's like, I'm very aware of the process. I've been through the process, just not the fiance process, but I'm aware of the sponsoring process. And anytime I tell him, look, this is not going to work, it's like the whole family literally corners me. They get so mad. They're like, this is crap.
Take emotion out of it. And here's the thing. I hate to say it. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Just show them all the video. Let them decide. What do I have in it? I mean, what would be better for me financially would be to say, oh, well, you know, this notario, this fake lawyer that they hired in the Philippines, she probably doesn't know what she's doing. He should hire me. Right. He should send me $6,000 and I'll wave my magic wand and I'll get her here in 4 or 5 months. I could do that, right? Yeah. But I have no incentive to do that. Has he had problems with ladies in the past? Is there like a bad?
He's only ever had one girlfriend, and he only dated her for I think 6 months. And I mean, she had some issues, but it was like her mom, like I guess said that she was a witch and like tried to cast spells on him or something. Like it was something weird. I don't know, but my family was like planning their wedding as well, and I had a bad feeling about her, and so it's always been me picking up on it and nobody else. And I'm like, you need to actually listen and pay attention, not just jump for the first girl that gives you attention. Yeah. And one thing that I actually didn't mention that I think is interesting. So he actually downloaded this app a year before they started really talking. And she had met him. She had matched with him. And she had told him, because he's type 1 diabetic. She had told him, well, you're diabetic. That's too much for me. I don't think that I want to get to know that. A year later, she finds him on Facebook and messages him and goes, you know what, I've been thinking, and I think I do want to get to know you. And I told him, I said, that's something you say a week later or a day later. You don't say that a year later. That's what you say when you haven't been able to find somebody else, you know, in the country you're looking for. So, I mean, obviously, I'm very skeptical. I know you said you don't want to question her intentions. I'm personally very skeptical.
Yeah, I am too. We just don't need to. And it wouldn't be, it's not productive to tell him that. He's not, that's not going to get through to him. I'm trying to lower the bar of what we have to prove. But if we had a trial, he loses. This is, and we don't need to bring up Trump. We don't need to bring up bad motives. We don't need to bring up all the shit he bought for her that's down in the basement. I'm just telling you, as a professional that does this and deals with this embassy all the time. I mean, any embassy is going to turn down a case where you get engaged 3 days after you meet face to face.
And I told him that too, and he doesn't believe that. He's like, no, we have a case. We love each other, and we have a lot of screenshots of our conversations. And I told him, like, that does not matter. The legal process is not going to work, and he just does not believe that.
Have you seen the I-129F? Because that would have to have her birth date on it and her.
I have not.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see. All right. Well, good luck, Alyssa. Let us know how it turns out. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
All right. As my friend Dammy says, man, we began with a bang. Let's go to Stanley. Hello, Stanley.
Hello, Jim.
Did you know?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, when I was a kid, my favorite book was Flat Stanley. Have you ever heard of that book?
Oh, no.
It's a kid's book, and Flat Stanley, something happened to him, but he's like flat. So he's like a piece of paper flat. And so like he would go on all these adventures. He could mail himself in the mailbox and stuff. It was great. It was just when I was a little kid. What can I help you with?
Yeah, so my case is I'm a foreign student. I arrived in the US in 2022. And after I arrived, I was there was like an initial TPS designation on December 2022. I mean 2020, 2022, and then I was eligible, so I applied I believe in March 2023, and I got approved, and I got the EAD that starts in June 4, 2023. And I started working for 2 to 3 months in the summer season. And then I left the US in last August 2023 for exchange program. So my school is like very unique. We have like rotation cities, so we travel a lot. And like the second and third years are like exchange programs. So I have been doing that since then. And in summer 2024, I returned into my home country, and I tried to renew my visa under interview waiver. And they required me to have an interview, and I scheduled interview there, but there was like a long waiting time, so I had to go to my next rotation city, so I wasn't able to attend. But I booked another interview on the country that I have been studying, and they asked me like questions about why I applied TPS, where I have been since I left the US, and they were like doing a lot of writing. And finally, they denied me under 214B, and they suggested me to reapply from the country of my origin.
Right.
Yeah, and now currently I'm a junior, and I'm active. I have active F1 status.
You have what status?
My F1 status is still active, so I'm studying still.
So you're back in the United States?
No, I'm currently stuck.
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah. So I mean, if you had called me and said, Jim, do you think if I have if I've applied for TPS that I'll ever be able to get another student visa stamp in my passport, I would have told you the answer to that question was no. So this
I wasn't
this wasn't going to work. You shouldn't have left. Once you got TPS, you shouldn't have left. And I know you got a program and all that, but I always get to this point of, well, we have to make decisions in our lives. Do we want to stick with our program, or do we want to stay in the United States? But once you got TPS and left, they were not going to let you come back.
So is it like a 0% chance thing, or?
So just to be clear, the stamp in your passport for your F1 has expired, right?
Yeah, it expired.
And you left the United States and went to, we'll just call it another country. You went to the embassy in Paris, and the U.S. embassy said, no, why did you apply for TPS? We think you have immigrant intent. We don't think you're going to come back home. And so therefore they denied your F1. And now the question is, if I go back to my country of origin, will that embassy give me a visit visa? I would say it's a 3% chance.
Is it like a F1 visa violation, or is it like
no? It's not a violation. No, it's violation. But anytime, I mean, there's people who are on an F1 for a really long time, Stanley, and then they go back and they try to get a stamp, like they've been here, like they've been working towards a degree, maybe getting their PhD. And I've had cases that I've seen where just because they've been in the United States so long, they say, we think you have immigrant intent. We think if we give you a new F1 visa that you're not coming back. And so, obviously it's completely in their discretion. But when you've claimed TPS, that seems like a pretty strong indication that you don't want to leave the United States. And of course, that's what they're concerned with. That's what 214B is all about.
Oh, so my concern was like when I check online after the denial, like I can have like both status, like dual status, but the thing is like I have to obey both if I want to maintain both status, then I have to obey for both. So in that case, if I work with the TPS, yeah, then it might be a violation on F1
That's true.
employment
Did you work on
restriction stuff.
your EAD?
Yeah, that's my concern. That's what I did in the summer.
Oh, right. You said that. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. So that's another thing we talk about a lot on this show is that if you are on an F1 visa and you get TPS or you apply for asylum and they give you an EAD, if you use that EAD, that's a violation of your F1. Yeah, for sure. So that's a whole other reason why they're not giving you a new stamp. I got to go, Stanley. Good luck, my friend.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, for sure. All right. Let's go to Chaparro. Hello.
Hi, I'm calling because so my brother-in-law doesn't know English, and it's his case. So 3 years ago he applied for VAWA. His lawyer filed the full package. You know, when they send for the work permit and advance parole and the AOS.
Yep.
His lawyer knew that he didn't qualify for AOS because he has a permanent bar. Nothing came back on his fingerprints or on his background check. He was deported when he was a minor, but there's no record of it. So that was the first thing that he wanted the immigration lawyer to look into. She didn't find anything. She sent the whole package, but she disclosed that he had left and came back. So I'm guessing, now immigration knows he has a permanent bar. So fast forward to December 2024, he was approved his VAWA was approved. His lawyer called him, congratulated him and everything. A couple of days later, she called and she's like, hey, you need to withdraw your AOS application because when they deny it, they're going to put you in removal proceedings. And you're going to be deported. So now his thing is he just got the request for his medical records. And he's been following another case of a girl that just recently got that notice, the 33 days to leave the country.
Yep.
After AOS is denied. I guess no lawyer wants to renew her VAWA EAD, the category 31.
Okay.
And so he's just, the question is, should he withdraw the application or should he fight it?
Well, so first of all, are we sure that the person that's helping him is a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay. And
however, he can't get a hold of her anymore because apparently she's became so popular that it's just the paralegals.
He already got his money and his case shit the bed, and she never should have filed it. That's why he can't get a hold of her. So this is your brother or your brother-in-law?
Brother-in-law.
Does your brother-in-law have a copy of the 485 that was filed?
No. He's been calling like crazy because he obviously wants to, fire his lawyer. And he's calling for the records of his FOIA, the records of his AOS. He only has the receipts. That's it. He hasn't got an answer.
Real quick, I'm going to teach everybody right now how to get your file from your lawyer, okay?
Okay.
First of all, number one, phone calls don't mean shit.
Okay.
Lawyers can deny till the cows come home that you ever called if all you say is I called every day at 8 a.m. and no one answered. Or I called and left messages and said I need my file. So number one, this is a lesson in life for everybody watching, for all of any kind of legal dispute that you ever have. Put it in writing. So let's say your brother's name is Felipe. Dear Lawyer Brown, as you know, you're my lawyer. You told me to file for VAWA and for adjustment of status. And did they sign a contract? Does he have a contract?
Yes.
Here's a copy of the contract. I would document everything you just told me. Number one, I would write down everything you just told me, except the part about the friend who's a girl. I would leave that part out. But everything about his case, I would write a total summary of what the lawyer told them to do. And then I would, at the last paragraph, would read something like this. I was surprised on February 20th to get a phone call from your office. In that phone call, I was told that despite all the money that we'd spent and all the time we spent waiting, that now you're expecting me to withdraw my 485. Please confirm that this is correct. Then the last paragraph, the very last paragraph is, and oh, by the way, all I have immigration-wise in my paperwork are my receipt notices. I need a complete digital copy of my immigration file, and I need it by Friday at 5:00 p.m.
Okay.
So then if Friday at 5 p.m. passes without receiving the file, then I send another email on Monday. Dear Attorney Brown, as you know, I sent you an email on Monday, and I asked you for a complete copy of my file by Friday. You did not provide me my file by Friday, despite my reasonable request for these documents to which I am entitled. Please get me the file by Wednesday at 5:00. If I don't hear from you by Wednesday at 5:00, I will have no choice but to notify the North Carolina bar or the Illinois bar that you are refusing to give me my file. I'm greatly perplexed and surprised at the fact that you are not responding to my emails and you're not sending me my file. 95% of lawyers, well, I would say 80% of lawyers will respond by the Friday at 5 p.m. deadline. 95% of lawyers will respond by the Wednesday at 5 p.m. deadline. And if they don't respond after that, then we have bigger problems, because that means the lawyer's probably on drugs, alcoholic, or getting ready to shut down their practice, any of which could be possible. Does that make sense?
Yes, I totally get it. I guess because last week he called and demanded, like, hey, I paid, said lawyer, the contracts with her, and they're like, oh, well, you can't talk to her because I guess she's too famous now.
Well,
she's out.
I understand that lawyers can't necessarily talk to you, but again, that's why we put it in writing, because then you don't care if you get a response at 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. You don't care. You just want a response. And Ms. Heavy Lawyer should have paralegals that can make every attorney, no one should ever go through the immigration process without a copy of everything that's filed on their behalf, every receipt that comes back. Any lawyer worth their salt gives their clients access to everything in real time as the process is going on.
Okay.
And that's the other thing is, your brother can't get more help or have someone like me or someone else take an objective review of what's been filed
until you have it in physical.
Right, because otherwise it's just you and me talking about your brother-in-law's case, right?
Right. And then branching from there, the other question that we can't get we can't seem to get a answer on, it's just differing, is does his approved VAWA, the EAD that's category 31, does it protect him from that deportation? Like if he goes through with the AOS and it's denied and everything?
Probably not. Because what we're seeing right now is, if you have an old removal order and then you're back in the country, they're not necessarily going through the process of deporting you again. They're just going to try to re-execute the prior deportation order, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you so much. How much do you charge for the consult? Like once we get these papers and stuff, so we can.
We don't really do a consult, but we'd be happy to look it over and see if there's something. What we do is we look at the stuff, we figure out if we can add value, and if we can, then we tell you what the price would be. But for looking at stuff, we don't charge.
And do you want me to email you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I should put
Thank you so much.
For sure. Thanks so much. Good luck getting that file. Do what I said and you'll get it. Okay. I promise.
Thank you. I'll let you know.
All right. See ya. That's a tough case. I don't know if that guy's going to be able to stay or not. All right. So hopefully now everybody knows how to get their file if you need it. I should probably make a video on that, although I think maybe I have. ZNS, hello. You got some good news for me, ZNS?
Yes, I have become citizen last week,
Congratulations.
and yeah, I called you about I was waiting for my notice for my ceremony in DC a couple of months ago. So
That's
yeah,
great.
it just went through, and we called you together to thank you because I found you when I applied for I-751, and it has been really helpful since then. We have been enjoying the information we were getting from you, and we didn't have the financial resources to hire a lawyer. It was really helpful, and I know you're keeping tabs, so you can add one more person to your.
Can you email me your initials and then I'll put you on the list? We're not going to publish it or anything, but we just want to have a list of the initials of everybody so we can actually keep count. If you could email me, that would be great.
I will do that. Yeah.
Awesome.
And Jim, I'm the spouse, and I'm also really grateful for all that you've done. But I'm also a brand new attorney, and I just wanted to let you know that I've learned a lot from you about dealing with clients and talking to people and stuff like that. So I really appreciate your show as a resource for attorneys too.
That's a great. What are you going to do?
I'm doing environmental law.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So here's what I was saying to my buddy today. I'm watching all these not good people that Trump is putting into all these immigration positions, and I'm wondering if that's happening in every agency. I would imagine that it is.
It is. I'm actually a new person at EPA, and I'm watching it happen. So.
Oh, geez. Oh, good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank
all
you.
Right. Thanks, guys. Congrats. That's great. That is
Thanks
good.
so much.
Yeah, for sure. How about that? And we had a side character who's a lawyer. That's so great. We always love hearing from the side character, and especially when it's good news like getting your citizenship. Catalina is here. Hello, Catalina.
Hi, Jim. Thank you so much for providing this space. You do amazing work, and I think we're all learning a lot from you. So my case is what I would call pretty standard. I'm Colombian, married to a U.S. citizen. I came in with a tourist visa after coming to the U.S. for various years. We got married on December 5th, and then we submitted our package December 20, so 2024. I already have my EAD in hand, my social security number, and we provided what I believe would be sufficient evidence for our I-130, which is, marriage certificate, joint lease, renter's insurance, life insurance, bank account that we've had for over a year, photos, affidavits, all that. My question is, we just filed taxes for the first time. We filed marriage separately because I have property in Colombia, so we didn't want to get that mixed up. Is it would it be a good idea for me to submit that as unsolicited evidence? There's a lot of talk about that, and I'm not very clear if that would actually help out the case, maybe push it a bit. I know I'm being kind of impatient, but just to understand if that's.
I don't think the act of uploading additional evidence makes cases go faster.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
And that's the one thing that I could add that I feel it's a stronger evidence, but I feel like I already gave a lot of good evidence, so it's just.
Well, I don't think sending taxes where we file married but separately, I don't think that's helpful either.
Oh, okay, that's good insight.
I think that's not helpful.
Okay, perfect. And then I had another question, which is, my I-94 will expire in March 13.
Okay.
And I do have domestic travel to LAX on April. I don't know if you've heard, there's a lot of fear mongering going around about, ICE stopping people in domestic flights that are going through AOS. There's a lot of talk. So I wanted to hear from you if you've heard anything very recently of what's going on with people that are going through AOS and have a valid I-485, for example.
You have your EAD, right?
I do have my EAD and my social. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would just travel with my EAD and my receipt notices, and you should be fine.
Okay, should I show my passport at all?
Well, you're gonna have to show some ID to get on the plane, right?
Yeah, but is the EAD would the EAD be instead of?
I don't think so. I think it has to be real ID, and pretty soon it has to be. It's either a driver's license pretty soon it's going to be real ID or passport.
Okay, so I'm planning on getting my driver's license next week. I'm assuming it's gonna come with real ID.
Well, you got to look up the requirements. It's harder to. I just got my real ID. It's a little bit of a more of a pain, but just look at the rules and see if you can pull it off. But either way, you don't need real ID. I mean, try to get real ID, because otherwise, when real ID kicks in, you're going to have to get a new driver's license. But if I were you and I was traveling and I had a non-real ID, I'd still start with that. I'd show them that, and I'd just be quiet, and then I would escalate with my passport if I need to.
Okay, perfect. Just like be prepared, carry everything. That's what I'm doing right now. Like in my car, in our car, we have a folder with like all receipts just in case something happens, because things are moving so fast.
That's what I would do. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Jim. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Lena. See you. You too. I was a little worried when I saw her name, because one of the first really messy cases that turned into a deportation case, or the person had to leave, was named Catalina. And I was friends with her sister, and she had, Catalina had some criminal stuff. What was it? It was like forgery or something bad. So she had to go back to Brazil. But sounds like our Catalina that we just talked to, her case is going much better. All right, I want to share something with you. I got an email today asking to talk about this particular issue. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. This is a really good news story. I mean, it's not a good story, it's a bad story, but the reporting was excellent. So there's a reporter named Camilo Montoya Galvez for CBS News. If you're not following him on Twitter, he's really good on immigration stuff. He's been all over the Guantanamo Bay story. So I'm going to read this to you guys. The Trump administration has enacted a pause on all immigration applications filed by migrants from Latin America and Ukraine allowed into the U.S. under certain Biden-era programs, citing fraud and security concerns, according to 2 U.S. officials in an internal memo obtained by CBS News. The application freeze will remain in place indefinitely while government officials work to identify potential cases of fraud and enhance vetting procedures to mitigate concerns related to national security, blah, blah, blah. The move, which had not been previously reported, threatens to cast a cloud of uncertainty over many migrants who are in the process of applying for various immigration benefits that would allow them to stay in the United States legally and in some cases permanently. While the exact number of affected migrants is unclear, the hold on applications applies to several Biden administration programs that allowed hundreds of thousands of foreigners to come to the U.S. legally through an immigration law known as parole. That law empowers the U.S. government to welcome foreigners quickly on humanitarian or public benefit grounds. The Biden administration used parole at an unprecedented scale, partially to encourage migrants to sign up for legal migration channels instead of crossing the southern border unlawfully. The Trump administration moved swiftly to suspend those efforts, arguing that they abused the parole authority. The Trump administration had previously halted new entries under Biden-era parole policies. Here's where the new news comes from. In a memo dated on Valentine's Day, Andrew Davidson, a top USCIS official, ordered an agency-wide administrative pause on all pending benefits filed by migrants already allowed into the U.S. under 3 administration programs. They include a policy called Uniting for Ukraine, set up to offer a safe haven to those fleeing the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Roughly 240,000 Ukrainians with American sponsors arrived in the U.S. under that process before Trump took office. Another affected program, known as CHNV, allowed 530,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans sponsored by American citizens to enter the United States. The third impacted program consists of processes that permitted some Colombians, Ecuadorians, Central Americans, I don't know exactly what that means, Haitians, and Cubans with American relatives to come to the U.S. to wait for a family-based green card to become available. Because those allowed into the U.S. under these programs were only given temporary work permits and deportation protections that typically last for 2 years, many of them applied for other immigration benefits. These include TPS, asylum, green cards based on marriage. Under the internal USCIS directive, officials will no longer be able to process any applications for these programs or any other benefit if the requests were filed by migrants who arrived in the U.S. under those policies. This effectively freezes their ability to move into another legal status. This is according to a former USCIS official. In the interim, they would remain susceptible to removal from the country if the government terminates their parole. The USCIS says the move is justified because they didn't get to properly vet these people. All right, so this is important. This is the first step in their plan to stop legal immigration to the United States. Okay, this is their plan to stop legal immigration. They think that they have the authority to stop processing cases that they don't like. Okay, they don't like how Biden let these people into the country, but the fact remains that these people were in fact paroled legally into the United States. So a typical case would be something like, I came in from Venezuela on Biden's parole program. I've been here for 2 years and I married a U.S. citizen. Now that U.S. citizen has filed an I-130 petition for me, and I want to adjust my status, and I have a valid entry because I was paroled into the United States, right? So without a law from Congress, without promulgating a new rule and giving people the opportunity to comment on it and to challenge it, they think they have the power, because they don't like this parole program, to basically invalidate all of the parole that was granted under Biden. I believe that this is illegal. I believe that this needs to be challenged in court. I'm trying to locate a copy of the actual directive from this USCIS official. It's private right now. We're going to do a Freedom of Information Act request to get it. But here's where I need your help, all 331 people watching. I need cases in order to challenge the case. I have some in the office, but I need more. I need more of people who enter the United States on a parole program and have applied for another immigration benefit, because we need to challenge this in court. And in order to do that, I need to represent people who are in this position. It did come out on Thursday. Well, the memo came out on Valentine's Day, but the news report came out on Thursday, Robert. That's right. So I need your help to help me find people who are in this scenario. They came in on a parole program and they're applying for something else, TPS, asylum, or a marriage-based green card, because I want to sue them in federal court. And I want to sue them to try to stop them from implementing this program because it's illegal. Congress has set out the way immigration cases are to be processed. Congress has set forth the parole system. Congress has charged USCIS with a directive to process these cases, and they do not have the right to stop processing these cases just because they think that they haven't had a chance to fully vet people. The way to do that is to vet the people on a case-by-case basis. The way not to do that is to just have a blanket prohibition on any of these people coming, right? So, Bartz, I appreciate what you say. I know one who's currently very afraid of public attention. Should I ask him to reach out to your office? Yes, and here's why. Number one, we will file this case with the identities of the plaintiffs sealed. It won't be public, right? It'll be sealed. And only the judge will know the actual names of the people. It's not just Ukrainians. It's for anybody that came on one of these Biden parole programs. I just read them off that news story. I'll put the news story in the link so you guys can read it yourself. The other thing is we're going to keep their identities private. And the other thing is we're not going to charge people, right? We're going to try to get our attorney's fees from the government if we win. But no one, I mean, well, either we'll probably do is have people split the fees, or we'll figure out a way to front the fees. But we won't be asking people at the outset to pay us. So in any event, If you know anybody like that, please email us info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com and we'll go from there. All right. Sorry for that side roll, Igor. If you were paroled in, you're from Moldova. I don't know if that is going to apply to you or not, but I would imagine that anyone who's been paroled is who they're going to stop processing. Thank you, Bartz. I appreciate that. All right. Let's go to Khadijah. Hi, Khadijah.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'll apologize in advance. I have a very sick baby in my arms, so I'm
Oh, I'm
going to talk
sorry.
kind
That's
of
too bad.
fast. But I wanted to also thank you because with your information, I was able to apply for my husband's 485, and he got approved for his conditional green card after 12 months. So that's
That's great.
great.
He adjusted status in the United States.
Yes, yes,
That's great,
yes.
Khadijah. I'm very happy for him.
Thank you. So my question is, with the conditional green card, is he able to travel by himself?
He can. Here's where I come down. I have a video on this. You might check it out. But basically, my question is, I mean, obviously you have a sick baby, so maybe you don't want to be bringing your sick baby on the plane. I mean, one is, does he have a good reason for going by himself? And two, was he in status at the time that you got married? That's the bigger question.
He was always in status. So first he came as a visitor, and then he adjusted his status to a F1,
Yeah.
and he was studying, and then we got married while he was in his F1 status. Now, even though he adjusted his status, I told him that he should still keep going to university. It was in Georgia, and I'm in St. Louis. So he was traveling back and forth from Georgia, just because I thought that maybe that looked better.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I got pregnant and had the baby, I said, I think that you should just stay and then work here. And then a month after the baby was born, then he got his green card
Without an interview?
without an interview.
Okay. Yeah, and like, does he have a short trip planned? And I guess he hasn't been home in a while.
So let me say this. So we are going to the UK next month. His
Together.
family lives in, yes, together. His family lives in Scotland, but he has a Bangladeshi passport.
Sure.
Now, he lived in Malaysia for 16 years,
Yeah.
and he was married to his first wife there.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He got a
Is he
divorce.
older than you? Is he older than you?
He's 2 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he wants to do like a guy's trip in Malaysia by himself
After the British trip or as part of?
after the British trip.
So you guys would all go to Britain, come back together.
Yes.
And then later on he'd go for how long to Malaysia? Like 2 weeks?
About 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Because we also talked about, because we're going back to Malaysia as a family in December. And we thought about maybe him going first for a week to do his boys' trip.
That's better.
And then I come, and then we come back.
I like that better.
You like that better?
To me,
Okay.
what I like is you coming back together with him, because that's what I want for when they just say, "Hey, where's your wife?" And he goes, "She's right here with our beautiful kid."
Yeah. Okay. And then I have one other question is that we also talked about, because it would be during Eid, and he talked about going to Malaysia by himself, and his family's going for Hajj from Bangladesh, and then going from Malaysia to Bangladesh and then back in by himself. And I thought maybe that would look better since he's coming from his home country on his passport.
You're
I
talking
don't
about
know.
you're talking about for Little Eid, not the one at the end of Ramadan.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So, but if it was preferable, it would be for us to all come back in as a family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I
Good luck.
appreciate you so
All
much.
right.
Thank
I hope
you.
your baby feels better.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you so
Khadijah.
much.
Yep. All right. Let's go to Nana. Nana, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How you doing?
Good, thanks. How's it going?
Great.
So quick question. My wife and I, we recently received receipt notices for the 485 and the 130. Um, and we're considering on moving out of state, and I'm just wondering what the impact of that is on the application, if
When
that
did
makes
you
sense.
file?
In December of last year.
So like
December 31st.
2 months ago.
Yep.
And have you gotten all your receipt notices back?
Yes, I'm still waiting for the receipt notice for the 765. Because initially when we applied, it got rejected because we had an issue with the money order.
Okay. So I think I have a video on this, but basically these are the kinds of things that I think about when people tell me that they're moving. Number one is it would be nice if you had a lawyer involved because they could tell USCIS to send all identity documents to the lawyer instead of you. That's one of the benefits of having a lawyer. But if you don't have that, then you're going to have to be really, really, really on top of everything that comes from USCIS. So you're going to be living on the online portal. You're going to be checking it every day. And most importantly, are you moving like from one state to another, or are you moving like just nearby?
So we're thinking of moving out of state, so from one state to another. But based on what you say, we're basically going to do what you say. If you say to stay, then we'll stay. But we'll probably move to a different city or something.
Yeah, I mean the trick is, right now you have a 765 that's separated from your 485.
Yes.
You're moving, so the risk is that they send your work card and then later or later your green card to your old address, which is something that they do all the time, right? Just because they're such dopes. So even though if you move, like I wouldn't live my life based on, number one, what Jim says, and number two, what the chances are of sending my green card. You might move and have absolutely no problem at all, right?
No.
So I would live my life, and I wouldn't let it be governed by the worry that they're going to screw up my work card, because they could screw up your work card or your green card even if you stay where you are, right?
Yeah. So what if I waited and received my work card and then left? Does that make any difference?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're telling me, Jim, we don't really have to move right now, we're just thinking about it, then I might wait. But if you're like gung-ho on leaving, or you have a job lined up or something really great, then I'd probably skip it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Nana. See ya. Hey, Carlos, I just went through that whole thing on the recording. You can email me if you want, or watch the replay again, or read that article that I shared. So that's all we really know right now. The pause hasn't really been announced or enumerated very much. So we don't have a lot of details on it. All right. Let's go to S. Hello, S.
Oh, hi, Jim. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So when people are trying not to trip and you're watching so well to not trip and then you trip.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got into a fender bender this morning and received a citation. How bad is that going to look? I've got my 693 next week. And then I'm actually going to go through you guys now with my citation for my 485.
Oh, you're going to be fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
And what was the citation for? Like reckless driving or something?
Failure to stop for an incoming vehicle. I was looking at them pulling somebody else over and then hit the car right in front of the cops.
I could do that. That's something I could do. What state will this be?
Montana.
Yeah, so I don't know how they work on tickets in Montana, but up here we just sort of get it taken care of. So like we get them to amend it to something and we pay a fine. As long as you take care of that.
Okay.
It should. You're gonna have to disclose it and explain it and all that stuff, but
yeah,
I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Yeah, it was $85, so I was happy that it wasn't too crazy.
Yeah, so here they charge you more to amend it, right?
Okay.
The thing about paying it is if you just pay it, then you get points on your license, and then your insurance goes up, at least around here. So
yeah, it's my first fender bender, so I'm hoping nothing too bad. But so just pay it and get it.
You had insurance?
Yes.
Yeah, it's all good. All right. Okay. Good luck, S. Yeah. Awesome. Let us know if you want to get started on the case. See ya.
I did. I called this morning. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That'll do it. That'll do it for today's show. Next show, Monday, February 24th. That'll be episode 769. Haha, 69. That's my favorite. I can't believe I just said that. Amani would be really mad at me. But you know, at nighttime I turn the heat down to 62, and then she makes me turn it up when I get up, because I get up first, and then I always turn it to 69 because that makes me laugh, because I'm a juvenile and I have the humor of a 12-year-old, which is why I love things like D's nuts and jokes where people get kicked in the nuts. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Good seeing everybody. Great show. I enjoyed it very much. Let me know, again, if you know anybody who's affected by those parole programs, send us an email, and just be sure to say Jim needs to see this. All right, everybody. Thanks, and I'll see you guys on Monday. I'm great about that, other than trying to help people who are in the state of disease.